the basic compass survey. So, to understand the compass surveying, the basic compass surveying. So, to understand the compass surveying, we have to understand the traverse. So, first we will see what is traverse. So, a traverse is a series of connected lines whose lengths and directions are to be measured, and the process of surveying to find such measurement is known as traversing. So in general, chain are used to measure length and compass or theodolite are used to measure the direction of traverse lines. So generally, we do two things in traversing. One is length measurement, and this length measurement, and second is included angle. Here, traverse line AB and traverse line BC, and we have to see the included angle. So generally, we perform two things during traverse surveying. One is length measurement and second is angle measurement. If we see the type of traverse, there are two type of traverse. One is open traverse and second is closed traverse. Open traverse. A traverse is said to be open traverse when the traverse starts at one point and terminates at another point as shown in figure above figure. Uh, Open traverse is also called an unclosed traverse. It is suitable for surveying of roads, coastal lines, rivers, etc. So generally, this geometry is not closed. Here A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to E, and E to F. So it is not a closed traverse. It is open traverse. Geometry is not closed here. Closed traverse. Uh, a traverse is said to be closed traverse when traverse formed a closed circuit as shown in a figure. Here you are seeing that, and this line, this line, this line, and this line, and this line, they are actually closing the geometry. So these are closed traverse, and most of the surveying we perform through the compass will be closed in nature. In this case, both starting and terminating point of the traverse coincide with each other, and it is suitable for survey of boundaries of ponds, sport grounds, forests, etc. Method of traverse. So it depends on the instrument generally we use during the surveying. So it may be chain traverse, compass traversing, uh, theodolite traversing, plane table traversing. At present time, uh, total station as a tool may be used. In that case, we may say it total station traversing. So traversing is performed by four different methods, and these methods are classified according to the survey instrument used. The methods are already mentioned. So we will see the chain traversing. Here chain traversing is done by taking linear measurements only. Hence chain or tape is enough for chain traversing. The angle between the adjacent traverse lines is measured using the chain angle concept. Chain traversing is performed in areas such as ponds, roads, etc., where it is difficult to adopt triangulation. The chain angle concept is nothing but finding the angle between two adjacent sides by establishing the third side using tie stations. This angle between the sides can also be fixed by establishing a chord of known length between the sides. Second is compass traversing. In the case of compass traversing, both linear and angular measurements of traverse lines are taken by using chain and prismatic compass respectively. Both for bearing and back bearing, both forebearing and back bearing are measured, and required corrections for local attraction are applied here. If any closing error is obtained while plotting a traverse, the Bowditch rule for length correction is applied, and adjustment may be possible with this method. Theodolite traversing. In this case, the theodolite traversing, linear measurement are done by using chain or some other length measurement instrument, and angle measurements are done by theodolite. Using theodolite, the magnetic bearing of the first traverse line is measured, and from the magnetic bearing of other sides are also calculated. This method is very accurate compared to other methods. Fourth method is plane table traversing. In this case, in the case of plane traversing, the measuring and plotting of traverse on the paper are done simultaneously. The plane table equipment is set up at every traverse stations one by one in clockwise or anti-clockwise directions. The sides of each traverse stations are drawn on paper to a suitable scale. If there is any closing error, graphic methods are used for this adjustment. So we learned the first part, that was traversing, and the second part is we have to understand the meridians. So there are three types of meridians, and meridian is actually a imaginary plane. It is imaginary reference plane from where we can calculate the horizontal angles. So magnetic meridian, the direction shown by a freely suspended needle which is magnetized and balanced properly without influence by other factors, is known as magnetic meridian. True meridian is a line which passes through the true north and true south. True meridian at any point can be determined by either observing the bearing of the sun at 12 noon or by sun's shadow. Arbitrary meridian. In case of small work in a place where true meridian or magnetic meridian cannot be determined, they are direction of prominent objects is taken as a reference direction and called as arbitrary meridian. So we will try to understand these all three. First is true meridian or geographic meridian. So it is imaginary plane. It is imaginary plane here. It is imaginary plane. Suppose at point P on the earth we would like to know the true meridian or geographic meridian. So how we can establish the true meridian? We will imagine a imaginary plane which pass through the geographic north and geographic south, and the point at which we want to know the bearing. So a plane which passes through all these 3 points, imaginary plane, maybe our true meridian. So this plane you can visualize is our true meridian here. Here it may be our true meridian. So, or geographic meridian. Now next is what is magnetic meridian. So when I say the magnetic meridian, it means a plane. It means a plane which passes through the geographic magnetic north and magnetic south. And suppose at any point P we want to know the magnetic meridian. So our imaginary plane can be imagined which passes through this all north and the point P and the magnetic south. So this imaginary plane may be our magnetic meridian. So this imaginary plane may be our magnetic meridian. Now in case of arbitrary meridian, there may be lots of locations on this earth, or where at that point it is very tough to create the magnetic meridian and true meridian. In that situations, we generally take the three other points as a reference. Suppose at this point, at this place of the earth, we would like to create the arbitrary meridian. So we will take 3 points on the earth: point A, and point B, and point C, and we will imagine a imaginary plane which passes through these all 3 points, and this plane may be our arbitrary meridian. So generally we classified the meridian in 3 parts. One was true meridian, and a plane which passes through the geographic north, geographic south. And second is magnetic meridian, a plane which passes through the magnetic north and magnetic south. And so in relatively we have three bearings. One is magnetic bearing, second is true bearing, and third is arbitrary bearing. So generally we will see the two things, true bearing and magnetic bearing. So there is a line, line AB, A and B, and if we would like to know the angle, the true bearing of this line, so in that case we will calculate the angle of this line with respect to a plane which is actually true meridian. So this angle is our, here it is theta, so this angle is our true bearing. It is already mentioned here, true bearing. Now next, magnetic bearing. So same thing, there is line AB, and we measure the angle of this line AB with respect to a plane which passes through the magnetic north and magnetic south. That is our magnetic bearing. So it is our magnetic bearing. So here all bearing is clear now. Now next, so types of bearing. Here you can see, and there the classification of the bearings. So here you are seeing the bearing. The bearing of line is the horizontal angle which it makes with the reference line. Reference lines means meridian. The reference lines is here meridian. So there are 4 types of bearing. One is true bearing, second is magnetic bearing, third is grid bearing, and fourth is arbitrary bearing. I already explained this in the previous image. So the true bearing is a line in the horizontal angle between the true meridian and the survey line. The true bearing is measured from true north in clockwise direction. The magnetic bearing of line is the horizontal angle which the line makes with the magnetic north. Grid bearing. The grid bearing of a line is the horizontal angle which the line makes with the grid meridian. Arbitrary bearing. The arbitrary bearing of a line is the horizontal angle which the line makes with arbitrary meridian. Now the system of angle representation. Here we will try to learn the angles in which system we may present the angle. So bearing are designated in the following two systems. One is a whole circle bearing, and second is quadrantal bearing. So in image you can easily see any line whose bearing we would like to know. So we'll take it north, the reference north, south, east, west, and if we measure the angle of any line in the first quadrant, so we have the angle between 0 to 90 degree. So 70 degree suppose, so of line, first line in the first quadrant, so it is 70 degree is bearing for the first line. Similarly, 135 degree for the any line in the second quadrant, and 265 degree 36 minute 20 seconds is the bearing of a line in third quadrant. And similarly, a fourth line, that is OD, and its bearing in whole circle bearing system is 328 degree. Now quadrantal bearing system. So quadrantal bearing system, like this is 40 degree. In this case, we can say that the bearing of first line is north 40 degree east. Similarly, the suppose this angle is 71 degree. This angle is 71 degree. Uh, then we can say that the bearing of the second line is south 71 degree east. Similarly, the bearing of the third line, and whose angle is here 36 degree. 36 degree. In this case, we can say that its bearing is south 36 degree west, and last is fourth quadrant, and this angle is 22 degree. In this case, we can say that north 22 degree west. So it was quadrantal bearing system. So the value lies between 0 to 90 degree in the quadrantal bearing system. And in the whole circle bearing system, the angle value lies between 0 to 300 degree, 360 degree system. Now, whole circle bearing, the bearing of line measured with respect to magnetic meridian in clockwise direction is called magnetic bearing, and its value varies between 0 to 360 degree. And the quadrant start from north as progress in clockwise direction, as the first quadrant is 0 to 90 degree in clockwise direction, second 90 degree to 180 degree, third 180 degree to 270 degree, and up to 360 degree in fourth one. Quadrantal bearing, in this system, the bearing of survey lines are measured with respect to north line or south line, whichever is nearest to the given survey line, and either in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction. Reduced bearing. So actually, the conversion of a whole circle bearing into a quadrantal bearing is actually reduced bearing. So when the whole circle bearing is converted into quadrantal bearing, it termed as a reduced bearing. Thus, the reduced bearing is similar to the quadrantal bearing, and its value lies between 0 to 90 degree, but the quadrant should be mentioned for proper designation. Here, this is image of prismatic compass. We can see that this compass helps us to establish the magnetic meridian. Here you can see that it is the north is mentioned here, and aluminum circular scale, here you can see that, and the scale gradings already made in it, and one magnetic needle is attached beneath this plate, and due to that, it always, this circle, this plate, this scale is always establish itself in magnetic meridian. So whenever we kept this prismatic compass at any place, it will align itself in the magnetic bearing system. Here you can see it is the object piece, object vane, and this is the eye vane, and here you can see this is a prism, inverted prism, and here eye may be placed, and through the eye we see the reading. Here whatever reading comes, we can see through this our eyes, and these are mirror glare mirrors. Suppose there is a huge glare in front of this, huge glare is coming, and in that case these glare mirrors may be used to take the proper measurements. So generally, most of the prismatic compass you will see in this manner, encased in a circular case, and this circular case and this aluminium scale is not attached with each other. Aluminium scale is free to rotate, and this casing is also free to rotate. Now, so we can say that prismatic compass is one of the most convenient and portable form of magnetic compass. It can be held in hand or in a tripod stand for carrying out the measurement. The line of sight is defined by object when and the eye when. Prismatic compass help us to conduct both sighting and reading simultaneously. The compass is initially held over the starting station of the survey line and the adjustment are provided. The magnetic meridian is thus obtained and thus start to take measurement by sighting to the next station. The reading increases in clockwise direction is that from the south 0 degree to west 90 degree and north 180 degree and east 270 degrees. Now, few principle we have to understand for the compass surveying. The principles are: the principle of compass surveying is traversing, which involve a series of connected lines. The magnetic bearing of lines are measured by prismatic compass, and the distance, it means length, are measured by chain. Such survey does not require the formulation of network of triangle. Compass surveying is recommended when the area is large, undulating, and crowded with many details. Compass surveying is not recommended for areas where local attraction is suspected due to presence of magnetic substance like steel structure, iron ore deposits, electric cables conveying currents. So we will try to understand it again. So here one image which is showing establishment of prismatic compass on a tripod stand, and you can see this is eye vane and this is object vane, and suppose any ranging rod in front of this, so this is our line of sight. This way we can establish the sighting. And if you see here your this slit is actually in, the area to see the sights, and here you can see a thread. uh, Actually it is a hair of horse tail. So you can see you have to align through this slit and this here and the object, suppose any ranging rod in front of this, and if you align these three lines, so it is actually sighting. And generally you can see the different angles. Always prismatic compass will align itself in the north south direction. North south, it is magnetic north and magnetic south, so always it takes its measurement with respect to magnetic meridian. If you see the readings, this aluminum plate readings, so generally the south side will be 0. Okay, and when you come at west you have 90-degree reading, and then at north 180-degree, and when you come at east you have 270-degree readings. So this was the general construction of prismatic compass. Next, instruments required for prismatic compass survey. What may be the supporting instruments? So we need following instruments required for conducting the prismatic compass survey. One is prismatic compass itself with tripod stand. Second, we need measuring tape. Third is arrow. Fourth is ranging rods. Fifth is plumbing fork and plumb bob, and sixth is field book. Now in detail, you can see the constructions, how it is generally made in different companies, and this is the basic form generally available in the market of any prismatic compass. You can see that here sunglasses, you can see that sunglass, eye vein, eye slit, eye hole, hinge, strap, focusing stud, and this is your inverted prism, right angled convex prism. So actually this is your inverted prism, and when you see through this you have the reading at this point. Now you see the inside. So and there is a rider, and this is your aluminum strip, and readings are printed in inverted manner, and there is it is covered with glass cover, and it is graduated rings. It is graduated rings made out of aluminum, and third is your it is encased in metal box, and this is your object piece, and here you will see that it is hinge and one mirror. It is adjustable in nature, and it is horsehair, and this is your object vane. This is object vane, this is object vane, and this is eye vane. So actually in that way we create line of sight. So now what is the use of this mirror? Suppose when the land is undulated and we establish our prismatic compass at higher point, and suppose we our ranging rod is at lowest point from the eye of the vision, eye line. In that case, suppose this mirror it help us to take the reading. Suppose we establish this mirror, and in mirror this image is appear, and with help of this image we can establish the line of sight. So in that way this adjustable mirror help us to take the reading in the prismatic compass. Now different things I will read it this. So first is your cylindrical metal box. So diameter of 8 centimeter to 12 centimeter, protect the compass from either casing or body of the compass. So it is pivot. Center of the compass supports the magnetic needle over it. Lifting pin and lifting lever. Below the sight vane, lifting pin pressed when sight vane is folded. The magnetic needle lifted out from the pivot point with the help of lifting lever. Now next is spring brake or brake pin. The to damp the oscillation of the needle, to bring it to rest quickly. Magnetic needle. The heart of instrument, measures angles of the line always pointed to north and south pole. Graduated circle ring. So it is aluminum graduated circle marked with 0 and 360 degree to measure all possible bearing of lines. The rings is graduated to half a degree. Next is prism. Read graduations on ring and to take extra reading by compass placed exactly opposite to object vane. The prism hole is protected by prism cap to protect it from dust and moisture. Object vane. Diametrically opposite to the prism and the eye vane, carrying horse hair or a black thin wire to sight object in line. Eye vane. A fine slit provided with eye hole at bottom to bisect the object from the slit. Take reading simultaneously from the eye hole. Provide with prism and can be lifted up and down by stud to bisect the object of higher level. Sunglasses used when some luminous objects are to be bisected, placed in front of the eye slit in bunched of 3 or 4 shades of different color to give sharp picture of the object only. Reflecting mirror used to get image of object located above or below the instrument level with while bisection placed exactly opposite to the object vane. The prism hole is protected by prism cap to protect it from dust and moisture placed on the object vane. Temporary adjustment. So when we establish the tool, we have to do 3 temporary adjustment. So what are these? When we establish, suppose at any place we try to establish our prismatic compass. So when we establish it, we have to do 3 things. One is centering, second is leveling, and third is focusing the prism. So these are temporary adjustment. So what is centering? In the step, the instrument is kept exactly over the station point. This can be done either by adjusting tripod stands or by using plumb bob. Sometimes a pebble can be freely dropped from his center to bottom of the instrument to check the centering. Second is leveling. The instrument must be held such that the graduated disc swings freely, and when viewed from the top edge it must appear level. If it is not used as a hand instrument, the tripod is used to support the instrument for leveling. And last, focusing the prism. Till the reading are observed sharp and clear, the prism attached is slide up and down for proper focusing. So 3 things we have to do when we start to use the prismatic compass during our prismatic survey. So 2 things we have to know. One is bearing. So a bearing is measurement of direction between 2 points. An azimuth bearing used all 360 degree of compass to indicate the directions. So there are 2 types of bearing. One is you may say that it is one is fore bearing and one is back bearing. So when we sight from O to A, suppose we have to find the bearing of line OA. So we sight from O to A, and suppose the angle is theta, so it is our fore bearing. Similarly, when we place the prismatic compass at B, and we will sight from O to A in reverse direction, and then we have certain angle, and that is theta 2 here, and this theta 2 is our back bearing. So bearing have 2 kinds, fore bearing and back bearing. Now how we can use the prismatic compass to take the measurements. See carefully. First we will center our instrument, and we will align the instrument in north-south direction. Here it is our north and it is our south, and you can see that line, the reading, it is north, it is south, and it is both our object vane and I vane. This is our I vane, and this is our object vane. So both are placed along the north-south line. So this is the first situation. And suppose we have to find the bearing of line this O, and this is B. Okay, so OB. So we have to find the bearing of line OB. So what we will do? What next? The second step is that we will rotate this prismatic compass, and we know that it is free. It is not attached with the aluminum circle. So when you rotate it, the next situation will be like this. Okay, when you bisect the ranging rod placed at B. So this will come in this direction, and what we will do here, we will take the reading at this place. So suppose it rotated uh, this much angle, so we know that, suppose this is theta, we know that the opposite angles are equal, so this angle is also theta, so the reading at this place, this angle is also theta, so reading of this place will give us the bearing of line OB. So that is the general methods to take the angle measurements with help of prismatic compass. Here in sketch I shown already this is our eye and this is our object vane, and the first situation is that alignment of prismatic compass in north to south direction, and already 0 at south, 90 at west, 180 at north, and 270 at east. I already mentioned this kind of readings engraved in the aluminum circle. Now what next? I told you that this aluminum plate and this is casing, this casing is not attached, so when you rotate this, the aluminum plate will remain in magnetic meridian and this will rotate it, the eye will come at this point and object vane will come at this point. So actually this is a line of bearing, of suppose line OA. Now in this case you can see the reading at this point, whatever reading, so you have the reading. That is the general way to take the reading with help of prismatic compass. Now second is surveyor compass. It is widely used during surveying. So this was general construction of our surveyor compass. So surveyor compass is an instrument used in surveying to measure horizontal angles. It consists of circular brass box containing a magnetic needle which moves freely over a brass circle or a compass divided into 360 degrees. Here you can see the several things. You can see the vanes, you can see the eye vane, this you can see the bubble tube to establish it, to level it, and you can see circular metal box and magnetic needle and fixed graduated plane. It is fixed. The casing and the readings, the graduated readings are fixed now, and needle is free to rotate. Here you can also see the needle is free to rotate, magnetic needle is free to rotate, but the casing and the metal box are now attached. When you rotate the metal box, the readings will also rotate. So here you can say that the metal box and readings are attached, but carefully see this, what type of readings generally we establish. Here it is at 0 degree, here it is at 0 degree, here it is 90 degree, here it is again 0, and it again at west it is 90 degree. I already told you. And here see, east is mentioned in actually west, and west is mentioned in actually east. North south is same. So what is happening, suppose this is the first time, 0 time, when we start the reading, we aligned our 0 with respect to the magnetic meridian. Now suppose there is a point B, and we want to sight the B. So in that case what we do, we rotate the surveyor compass, and we bisect it. Suppose we bisected it with we establish the sight line. So what happens, we came at this point, but how to take the reading? Generally we will take reading at this point. Okay, here we will take the reading at this point. So some reading will come at this point, and you have north certain reading, is north certain reading with east. You have get the quadrantal bearing system, you will get the reading in quadrantal bearing system. So this instrument, that is surveyor compass, help us to take the reading in the quadrantal bearing systems. Now next is the local attraction. Local attraction, we have to understand it carefully. Why generally local attraction has observed most of the time? Because there may be certain magnetic field already existing in the area where we want to complete the surveying. So in that case we may observe the local attractions. So while compass surveying, the magnetic needle is sometimes disturbed from its normal position under the influence of external attractive forces. Such a disturbing influence is called local attraction. So, local attraction at a place can be detected by observing bearing from both ends of the line in the area. If the fore and back bearing of line differ exactly by 180 degree, there is no local attraction at either stations provided instrument and observational error are eliminated. But if this difference is not equal to 180 degree, then the local attraction exists there and either at one or both the ends of the line. Try to understand it. Suppose it is line AB, line A and B, and we try to establish the bearing of line AB. So what we do, we will place the prismatic compass and we will find the bearing. So suppose this is the fore bearing theta 1, and again we will place the magnetic compass, the prismatic compass at P, and we have back bearing. So suppose this is now theta 2. So I already told you there is one universal law. Theta 1 minus theta 2 will be equal to either plus or minus 180 degree. So suppose bearing at point A and bearing at point P, the difference between these two bearings is 180 degree. It means there is no any kind of local attraction exist at point A and B. And suppose it is not 180 degree. In that case, there may be possibility of local attraction either at A or at B. Now, if suppose there is error, so how we can find the error? So suppose there are 4 points, point A, point B, point C and point D, and we are traversing from A to B and B to C and C to D and D to A, and we have in internal angles. We can find internal angles. Suppose here one, it is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 and theta 4. So there is one check. So sum of measured interior angles should be equal to 2n minus 4 into 90 degree. N is number of sides. So this should be matched. Sum of measure of exterior angle is 2n plus 4 into 90 degree. So when this value is coming, then there is no any error in this surveying. Like line, how we can create the table line, fore bearing, back bearing and length. This kind of tables generally we create during the prismatic surveying. So it is line, it is fore bearing, it is back bearing, it is length. So line AB, what is the fore bearing, what is the back bearing, what is the length? Line BC, what is the fore bearing, what is the back bearing, what is the length? Line CD, fore bearing value, back bearing value and length value. And like DA, we have fore bearing value, we have back bearing value, we have length value. So how much error we can neglect? We have to think in that also. How much angle? So suppose sum of all interior angles theta minus one value 2n minus 4, okay, into 90 degree. This value we will find, okay, and this value should be less than or equal to 15 under root n value, okay. N is number of sides. So suppose this value comes, then we can ignore the the error. But if it is not so, then we have to do the adjustment. So there may be two kind of adjustment. One is angle adjustment due to angle. One is angle adjustment and second is your length adjustment. So how we can find the angle adjustment? How we can find the angle adjustment? So first find the difference, the same difference, sigma theta minus 2n in minus 4 into 90 degree. You have certain difference that is in degree, and you have to adjust this angle. Okay, you have to adjust this angle. So divide this angle with number of sides. Okay, number of sides, and suppose e1, e2, e3, e4 and en are the respective angle corrections. So one angle correction will be capital E by n. So at every angle we will do this much of correction. So in that way angle corrections and the angle adjustment is possible. Now second is our length. Suppose we have the same figure, A to B, B to C, and C to D, and D to A. And now suppose you have certain amount of error. So what will happen in that case? When you will try to make the map with help of that surveying. So you will represent line AB with like A dash B dash, and there may be certain amount of error, and BC line will be represented with B dash C dash with some more error, and some similarly C dash D dash may be represented with help of CD, and again DA with D dash A dash. So practically it should be closed, but it is not closed due to several length errors. So A dash and A dash have certain amount of difference. So measure the horizontal distance, okay, and suppose this is E. Measure the distance between these two, and it is E. So how we can do this adjustment? That is a length adjustment. It is very important to understand. There is one method, that is a Bowditch method of graphical adjustment, and it is a graphical method. Okay, Bowditch method it gives us the idea how we can do this. So suppose this is the final error came. So how we can do the adjustments? We will represent the line A dash B dash and B dash C dash and C dash D dash and D dash A dash on a scale, and at end of this scale we will put E, and we will attach this line, and we will see at P we will create a vertical line. Okay, P. At point C we will create a vertical line, and at D we will create a vertical line. So these vertical lines are actually adjustment. Okay, so we will see how this may work. So at B, what may be our length adjustment? At B, what may be our length adjustment? So this length is the length adjustment at B, and this length is length adjustment at C. This length is length adjustment at D, and this is length adjustment at E. So how we can perform this adjustment? So here we have several adjustment. So you can see it by yourself how we can do this adjustment. So at B you have this much of adjustment, at C you have this much of adjustment, D you have this much of adjustment, and at last in E you have this much of adjustment. So in that way the geometry is closed now. We started at A, and the end geometry should come at A. So there were two methods by which we can do the adjustments. So one was angle adjustment, and second was length adjustment, and the length adjustment can be done graphically, and this method is called Bowditch method of length adjustment. Now we have two questions. We will do two questions to understand it carefully, and that may come in our exam also. So question number 1. So here we can see the line PQ. You can see the line PQ. Okay. You can see the line PQ, and line PQ is like 283. So here it is, this is P to Q, okay, to T, and it is wrong actually. So it is 280, line PQ, okay, and QR 32. So this is our 32, okay, QR, and RS 149, okay, and this is our 198. Okay, so that may be a geometry. It is P, it is Q, it is R, and it is S. So here 4 bearing value and back bearing value provided, 285 and 32, 149, 198, like that. So we have to, there are 4 stations P, Q, R, S, and we have to find the stations where the local attraction is actually existing, and we have to do the corrections. Okay, so we will do this next. Here try to understand this. Here by direct method, as difference of forward bearing and back bearing of a line is exactly 180 degree, station P and station Q are free from local attractions. Here see, line PQ, forward bearing is this value, back bearing is this value, and difference is 180 degree. So there is no error. I already told you we have universal formula, forward bearing minus back bearing equal to plus minus 180 degree. It means the law is correct. So at both point, there is no any kind of local attraction existing. So here PQ, there is no any kind of error. So in that situation, P and Q are free from local attraction. Now QR, so you have forward bearing 32 and back bearing 210, so difference is 178. So you have difference of 180 minus 178, that is 2 plus 2 value. So we have to do the adjustment for 2 degree. So to find the correction forward bearing and back bearing, at station P, forward bearing of line PQ 230 degree is correct since the P is free from local attraction. The difference, therefore, back bearing of line PQ is, therefore back bearing of line PQ is 105 degree 30 minutes, and it is correct. Now situation come to point Q. Forward bearing of line QR is 32 degree. It is correct, okay? And why? Because Q is free from local attraction. Therefore, corrected back bearing of line should be how much? Add 180 degree to it, so you have 212 degree. But observed value is 210 only. Observed value is here 210 only. So there is correction of plus 2 degree added to station R. So at R, you have to add 2 degree corrections, okay? Now next. So you have observed forward bearing of line is 149. So correction, you have to add 2 degrees. So actually this is the correct value. So correct back bearing of line RS will be, you have to add 180 degree to it. So you have 331. Observed back bearing of line RS is 331. So the correction at station S is minus 0 degree 30 minutes. Okay. So minus 0 degree 30 minutes. At station S, the observed forward bearing value is 198 degree 38, this value. And correct back bearing of line SP is 198 degree 30 minutes minus 0.0 degree 30 minutes. So actually it is 190 degree. Okay. correct back bearing of line SP is 198 minus 180 degree, that is 18 degree. So we can add table to it, and these are correct bearings. So correct back bearing and fore bearing value we can easily say, and we can also say the points where the local attraction is existing. So this was the first problem, and same problem may come in the exam. Now problem number 2, following are the bearing of lines of a closed traverse ABCD, and the lines are four bearing values given: AB, north 45 degree 10 minutes east, BC, south 60 degree 40 minute east, CD, south 9 degree 50 minute west, and DA, north 80 degree 40 minute west. Calculate the interior angles of the traverse. We have to calculate the interior angles. So here we can plot A, B, C, D, and we have values. Line AB fore bearing, here 4510 back bearing. So fore bearing value, so it is fore bearing value 45 degree 10 minutes, so we have back bearing value. Similarly, back bearing for BC, and back bearing of CD, and back bearing of DA we can find. Here all those back bearings. So now how we can find the interior angles? So consider the station A. Included angle of A is back bearing of line DA. Back bearing of line DA. This is, take the back bearing of this and minus fore bearing of this. So you have this included angle. Similarly, when you come at B, so back bearing of line AB, back bearing of line AB, the back bearing of AB and fore bearing of BC, like that. Here you have it B. Okay, in that case you have this included angle, and it is 105 degree 50 minutes. Next, when you come at point C, so again the back bearing of BC, back bearing of BC and fore bearing of CD. Back bearing of BC and fore bearing of CD, you have the included angle. Now come at D, and this is your D point. Now you have back bearing of CD, back bearing of CD and fore bearing of DA, and in that case you have this value. So similarly we can find the included angle. So you calculated these all values, included angle. So this much for this session. So if I concluded this chapter, we studied the traverse and types of traverse. After traverse we studied the meridians, and after meridians we studied the bearing systems, and then we saw the construction detail of prismatic compass and surveyor compass, and then we saw the methods how we can calculate the angles. After that we saw the corrections, angle corrections and length corrections. Length corrections by graphic method, that was Bowditch method of length correction, and at last we saw the two numericals. For compass surveying, and this much is for today's lecture. Thank you.